Greetings. How you doing? How's it going? We're going to be talking today about places to network that you haven't thought of. But first, my name is Lisa Edwards. I am the CEO and the solopreneur of the Exclusive Career. This podcast is the Exclusive Career Coach, which, as you can tell by the number 371, has been going on for quite a long time, since 2017. And I focus on job search strategies and all things job search on this podcast. If you are interested in learning about executive development, leadership development, and emotional intelligence, all of those kind of professional development things, head over to my other podcast, the Exclusive Career Podcast, which has nearly 40 episodes on it now. I started it in 2025. All right. I want to start by saying that so we're talking about networking, places to network that you haven't thought of. And this podcast, as I just said, is about the job search and all things around the job search. But I felt like I was not doing you justice and not doing you a service if I didn't talk about the truth of networking, or what should be the truth of networking, which is that this should be a career-long effort. So while I am going to talk about I'm going to kind of go in and out of the job search because, again, that's why most of you come to this podcast. But what I want you to understand is that this should be career long. And if you think of it like a graph, right? If you don't do any networking when you don't need a job, then you're going to have this huge spike in effort that is going to be prolonged and very, very high when you are looking for a job. And then if you stop again, right, it's the same thing. And there's so much rebuilding that has to go on. It's not like you're just picking up where you left off. Instead, you want to give it kind of a steady stream of effort. I think of this as a kind of a low intensity, consistent effort. Low intensity meaning I don't want it to take up a ton of your time. I don't want it to be, overwhelming, but it is important that it is consistent and that it doesn't keep getting pushed off because of other more important things. Because to be clear, networking is very important, but what it isn't is urgent. And so you want to make sure that those urgent things in your day-to-day work don't overtake it. I'm pulling for this episode from episode 80, where I talked about networking, and then also I got some good content from a post on LinkedIn by a colleague named Bob McIntosh. What I am not going to be talking about in this episode is how to network or how not to network. I'm going to be getting your brain thinking about the different environments, get you thinking about, hopefully, if I do my job, how simple and how organic networking can be. And the best networkers treat it very organically. They are going about their life, they're out there, they're doing their thing, and they are networking. But what many people don't realize is that they may be in the middle of a great networking opportunity, but they're not thinking about it as such. Now, I've done plenty of episodes on, reasons to network when you're not looking for a job, the nuts and bolts of networking, and I'm sure I'll cover those again on this podcast. But today it's just those locations. So I want you to think about this as you can network. This is what I always tell people. You can network anywhere where the music isn't too loud and the people aren't too drunk. Once those two things come into play, it's probably not a great place to network. But everything else is fair game. I'm going to give you my list, and I've got some commentary on some. Chamber of Commerce networking events. They are they are called networking events. Many companies, most companies are a member of at least one local chamber of commerce. So if you're employed, see if you can't go to those events, even if your company isn't, or if you are not allowed to go as part of your company for whatever reason, you pay a little bit more to go to an event as a non-member, but you can go, and they are great networking opportunities. Civic club meetings. By this, I'm talking about Rotary, Kiwanis, Lions Club, whatever else there may be in your local, the JCs, those kinds of things. SHRM is the acronym for the Society of Human Resource Management. And while they have a national chapter, they also have lots of local chapters. And until recently, was a member of ours here in Tallahassee. And that's a great place to go because that's all the HR people. So you really get to kind of get to maybe have a chance to talk to see what's available, see how their hiring process works, what are they looking for, all of that. Nonprofit fundraisers. That's a great place to meet people who theoretically have money and maybe running the show at their company. Affinity groups. So, what I mean by that are things like Meetup, where you can go on and say, here's what I like to do. I also like the events tab on Facebook for that reason. What is it that I like to do that I can go about doing it? I like to taste wine. I like to go to foodie events. I like to go to, I don't know, something to do with my faith. And those organizations, presumably the other people that will be there, will share that same affinity. Community organizations, which is just a big, broad title, but what is it that's going on in your community? Like I could see myself networking on any given Saturday morning at the very large farmers market that we have here in Tallahassee. Alumni gatherings. So think about, look it up, and that's going to be very situational. If you went to a small college across the country from where you're living now, alumni gatherings probably aren't going to be a fit for you. But if you went to a major university and you either know or find out that there's an active chapter in your area, great place to network. Community festivals or events. So this kind of goes along with the community organizations, right? So what's going on? We have a big springtime Tallahassee here that goes on in April. What are the things going on around that festival? We have a big, it's called Word of South, I believe, and it's a big writers conference slash there's music and entertain all kind of stuff, and it's a really big deal, and that's coming up in, I don't know, soon. Organized networking events. So beyond the chamber, who else is putting on organized networking events that you could be a part of? Church or other religious establishments. Don't go to church to get a job, don't go to church to network, but those are people who presumably in most cases really want to help others and would love to network with you. Professional meetings. So while you are going about the business of being a salesperson, a marketer, an architect, an accountant, go to your professional meetings either virtually or in person because that's a great places to network. Career fairs. This is going to be situational, but let me offer a couple of variations on the theme. If you are earlier in your career, career fairs can be a great place to network for a job. But also, what if you are the person who is manning the booth for your company at a university career fair nearby? Talk to the other recruiters, make some contacts, get some information, follow up with them, connect with them on LinkedIn, and you can network with them. LinkedIn groups, find some groups that are for your industry, for your job function, for some facet of the work that you do, like tech for HR people, something like that. Find those groups on LinkedIn and get involved there. Recruiters. Now, it's obvious that you want to be in touch with recruiters when you're job searching, but you may be asking, like, what am I supposed to do with them if I'm not job searching? You want to stay in touch with them. We're going to talk about a cadence for this later on. But recruiters appreciate you providing value to them when you are not looking for anything in return. So, whether that is sending them a viable candidate, letting them know about a change in your industry that might impact what they do, letting them know about an update to your credentials or experience, that's the kind of thing I'm talking about. Organizations you already volunteer with or could begin volunteering at. Think about, and I always think about volunteering in kind of two ways. Either I'm going to take the skill set that I'm known for, right, my brilliance, and I'm going to offer it to an organization. I'm a great event planner. How can you use me? Or it can be just use me in some way. Like I want to do something very different from the work that I do. I volunteered for about a year with a dog rescue here in Tallahassee. And that was a very different group of people than I would normally run into. And it had nothing to do with my career, but I do love dogs. So that was kind of the nexus there for that one. The next one is sporting events. So everything from your kids are in little league all the way through college and pro. There are other people there. There's a whole bunch of other people there. And there are opportunities to meet them, standing in line, getting your concessions or whatever. I also put wait time hubs, kind of in quotations mark. This is things like airport lounges, hotel lobbies and bars, dog parks, any place where you kind of have to sit around for a while can be a great place to network. Fitness facilities. Some are better than others. Some are, the culture in some are like just come, mind your own business, do your thing. But others are much more social and sociable. Next, I have co-working spaces. So if you are self-employed, also had some clients who felt like they could do a better job search if they rented out some space at a place like WeWork. So they felt like they were going to work in looking for a job. So those co-working spaces can be great. And for example, and this is something you can look into, I just thought about this. The one of the main co-working spaces here in Tallahassee does what they call Women Wednesdays. And when women can come in on Wednesdays in the morning and work there, no charge, come in and just hang out, work, and then they have a speaker or a program element for them over the lunch hour. So people can come for one or the other or both. And I think they can stay in the afternoon if they want to work through a certain time. So that might be something you could look into even if you weren't renting space. Next one is continuing education classes. So this can be anything from, hey, I'd like to learn, I don't know, I want to learn Japanese because of my job. They want to, send me to Tokyo or some other, like some tech aspect you want to learn. Or it could be something like a pottery class or a yoga class. So any kind of continuing education, paint that with a very broad brushstroke. Your hair salon or barber shop, those people know what's going on. Network with them for sure. And again, keep in mind, this is not just, hey, I'm looking for a job. Do you have one or do you know anybody who's hiring? That is a very inefficient way to network. This is developing relationships over the course of your life that where you may be able to gain benefit from that and where hopefully you will give benefit as well. Next, I had kids' activities. So beyond the sporting events, what about things like gymnastics, cheerleading, dance, music lessons, all those kind of things that kids do? Gallery openings or exhibits. So what is there going on? So for example, here with FSU, there are and I didn't include theater events on here, but that's a great place because there's an intermission. So we have the theater at a very strong school of music and a very strong school of theater, or college of, it was a school of music when I was a student there. Now it's a college of music, college of theater. What are those activities? They have the art program, they have gallery openings and exhibits. So it could be a local art gallery, but it could also be something at the local university. Next, I have specialty hobby shops. So things like high-end bike shops, a wine cellar. What are those hobbies that tend to be kind of high-end? People have to have money and probably have pretty good jobs if they can engage in that hobby. And then the last one I have here, certainly not an exhaustive list, but online communities that are centered around a hobby or an interest that you share. So that kind of could be anything and everything. In addition, I want to give you some specific people that you might not have thought of them. Some are obvious and some aren't. And the key with all of this as you develop these, because obviously with the ones that I just gave you, the locations, that's going to come down to specific people that you meet there, right? It's you want to move from the macro to the micro. So I'm going to go to an alumni event, but I'm going to an alumni event because I want to make some connections with some people that could develop into a networking relationship. And you want to keep track of a cadence for each of these. And it's not going to be the same for everybody. Are you currently job searching? Is this more of a long game? Do you want to meet with certain people quarterly? I want to just touch base. And that can be just like a little poke, right? A little reach out on LinkedIn, send them an email. It could be some that you're like, twice a year, let's do our coffee meeting, let's do lunch, let's do drinks after work. Some of them you may only want to reach out to once a year. There's no right or wrong. You just want to set up some system to keep you on track with all of that. So here are some ideas there. Hiring managers that you've interviewed with, but didn't receive an offer. So obviously they were interested in you. They did interview you. They didn't offer you the job. You should be already connected with them on LinkedIn before they didn't offer you the job. So this is someone that you can just send a little tickle to once a year, twice a year, something like that. Your existing network contacts, right? So LinkedIn should not be the place where your network contacts go to die. So and I have done this in various ways over the years. And I can't tell you that I have the perfect solution for it because it does need to be personalized. And I have 6,000 and some odd connections on LinkedIn. So I don't know that I have the answer to that one. So it may be not every networking contact on LinkedIn, but it could certainly be a group of them. Mentors and career coaches that you've worked with. Stay in touch with us. Stay in touch with your mentors. Former coworkers. And that's one that people are like, oh, I haven't talked to them in 5 years. It's going to be weird. No, it's not. They're busy. You're busy. It's not weird. Former bosses. Absolutely. Obviously, if things didn't end well, no. But if they were a great mentor for you, yes. Past clients or customers. So as you move on, or as they move on, even if you stay at the same company, stay in touch. Vendors you've worked with that you had a great relationship with, and then people you've helped professionally in who knows what kind of way. Colleagues from professional associations. So again, we're going from the macro of I'm attending professional associations. Now I've got some colleagues there. I've made some connections. I want to stay in touch. Fellow alumni, again, go to the alumni event, or even if I know them, maybe I they were my friends when I was in college. And now that we're both alumni, we're going to stay in touch. Family and friends, duh, right? Service providers, and we kind of touched on this one a little while ago, but there's two ways to look at this, like your hairdresser or your barber. It can be the hairdresser or the barber, but can it also be other people using that service, other hairdressers that are there, other barbers, all of those kind of things. But here we have hairdresser, barber, mechanic, housekeeper, the pool service person, personal trainer, life coach. Anybody that's provided a service to you, does it make sense to network with them? Neighbors. Yeah, right? Like how well do you know them? If, are they in careers that lend themselves for you to develop a networking relationship? Not everybody has that, but if you do, it could be great. Parents of your kids' friends, fantastic networking. LinkedIn connections, especially those who are very active. So this is a little bit different when I talked about your networking, like stay in contact with the people that you've connected with. This is me looking on LinkedIn and seeing who's super active, whether I'm already connected with them or I want to be connected with them, but I want to be in their orbit because they're very active. They have a fairly large platform. People are people are engaging with their content. Next, your bankers, a loan officer, if you have a personal connection with them. I don't have a personal connection with any of my bankers or a loan officer, but maybe you do. Your real estate agent, other people you know that are real estate agents. They're very well connected and they better know how to network or they're not going to be very good at real estate. Former teachers and professors, your childhood or high school friends, your spouses or your partner's network. Don't forget them. So, don't turn down the invitation to go to the holiday party or retreats where spouses are invited. A lot of times they'll have special events for the spouse while the employed person is off doing the business thing. So that can be a great place to meet the other spouses, and they might be working as well. Your accountant or CPA is another one. All right, so I've given you a ton of people and places to network. Hopefully, at least one or two of these has got you going, all right, I hadn't thought about that. And maybe it has also gotten you thinking about, oh, maybe there's something else that you think is a great networking idea that my ideas kind of brought up for you. I hope this has been helpful. I will see you in 2 weeks back on this channel with another great job search related content. And I'll see you next week back on the exclusive career podcast. And I hope you'll join me over there as well.